Good morning, Superkickin with Stephen fans. Your favorite host right here, Stephen A. 1181. We got the Greg one over there, and we're ready to talk up all the news and notes. Plenty of name changes to talk about. We got people leaving. We got people staying. It's just a crazy time. We got Royal Rumble a week from today. One of my favorite events. Just always surprises, and like we said, I feel like this year's Royal Rumble. Men's side is probably wide open, and probably the women's side as well. So, but Greg, first, let's get to some, little sports talk because I looked at the schedule for the NBA, and we are playing each other tonight. It is in Phoenix. So, I don't know if you saw, my Pacers got two good wins this week, back to back over the Lakers and the Warriors. So that's good to see. We were shorthanded. I think we had 7 people listed out on win on against the Warriors. So yeah, that's always a good thing. And most of them were starters. So
Nice.
is out for a little bit of time. Unfortunately, Miles Turner's out. Yeah, but and it could get into that whole: do we tank for the higher draft pick? But then you get into what if that draft pick doesn't pan out? So I don't know. Like I'm all about. I just want to win now. Like I don't.
Right.
We've seen it with the Sixers. Like the Sixers kind of did it. But what if the Sixers won? I mean, they've made it to conference finals. I think once maybe. Yes, they have Joel Embiid, who's generational player. But look at the Ben Simmons situation. That still has it. And then, you've had to sign a lot of free agents too. So, but yeah, anyway, so my Pacers get a couple good wins. How have your Suns looked this week, Greg? I haven't got to see what they've been doing this week. How they look this week?
The Suns are killing it, man. Even
Good.
with Aiton being on the shelf a little bit, they're still running through people and
Okay.
still have the #1 record in the league, top 6 in offense and defense. So they're doing it on
Okay.
both ends. So they're still killing it. I mean, they've put some space between themselves and the Warriors, who've gone on kind of a slump lately,
Mm-hmm.
and put some space between themselves and the Warriors as far as I think they probably have like a 3-game
Yeah.
lead as far as the
Yeah.
best
No.
overall record in the
Yeah.
whole league. So, yeah, bad time to run into the Suns because they are clicking on all cylinders right now,
It's never
even when good guys are end up on the bench or on the shelf for whatever reason. So,
exactly. Yeah, and I know the Warriors did pick up a good win last night. I think they hit a Steph Curry hit his 8th career buzzer beater, so they picked up a win last night. But yeah, so we'll see. I don't know what the line is. I would assume my Pacers are probably double figure underdogs, which when it's double digit underdogs. So, but we'll tune into that. Early night for me, Greg, 9 o'clock tip off. The
oh
Warriors
wow.
game was 10 o'clock. Well, because West Coast, but like Warriors game was 10. The Lakers game was 10:30. I will say I went 0 for 2 on staying up for either of those games. Even with Dynamite running to about 10, I was done after that. So, and then Thursday night I was like, yeah, I'll just check in after after about 1 or 2 if I wake up in the morning and see what the score is. But good win for my Pacers, and yeah, like I said, the whole tanking, draft pick. I don't know. Like, I get it. We probably need to do it, but I know fans won't stick around for it. So that's what the thing. That's tough. So,
Yeah.
but speaking of fans wanting to stick around for something, let's talk it up, Greg. Here's our. Let me bring up our little notes here. Let's just get right into it. the old news of the week is Walter is now known as Gunther. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
You go first. I got a rat waiting, so
Yeah,
Mitchell, let it. You can lead.
and I'll probably talk out of both sides of my mouth, Greg, because I feel like I probably give too much benefit of the doubt. The way I see it, he was on NXT UK. I think they just think NXT UK. They don't even really think about it. So like, we'll just let him be Walter there because he's been there in Europe, and now he's in America. So WWE wants to get a name that they could trademark. And now with the whole Nazi thing, like they said, at first they're going to call him Gunther Stark, which is a Nazi Nazi officer back in the day. I'm like, okay, like you should have done some research on that. But it does look like he'll just go as Gunther, and you could still chant that, when he comes out, and he even, said winner is Gunther. As long as they do not mess with the formula of what Walter truly is. And it didn't seem like they did that yet. And I did use the word yet, Greg, because we know if he gets to the main roster, that could happen. If he goes to the main roster, he could just stay down there. And if he stays down there, I feel like he's going to be the same person. He's just going to use the name Gunther. So, like I said, I'm not as upset about it, which is probably, I'm sure to fans' ears not great, but whatever. It's a name. Like as long as he is who he is, like the old, they are who we thought they are. That's all I really care about. I mean, if you could get the name over as yourself, then that's kind of part of it. Unfortunately, I mean, you think Fandango wanted the name Fandango, Greg? I mean, there's been plenty of names that we thought. I mean, I still think back to Brodus Clay. And coming out as this Funkasaurus, he got it over. It was a short time, but he's still good. So I feel like Walter will still play up what he is. Hopefully Triple H can come back to his baby soon if he wants to come back to his baby. But that's kind of where I'm at. I'm a little indifferent to it. I want to make sure that he is who he is. So rant away, though.
All right. I am not indifferent. I hate it, hate it, hate it. It goes back to if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't know why they feel the need to change this, especially Walter. Walter has been the face of NXT UK. And I get them changing NXT US to 2.0 and feeling like they need to tweak it and whatever. But it seems like NXT UK is its own entity unto itself under the WWE system. Nobody's messed with it. Nobody's gone into the UK brand and messed with things. And that's great. That's what I want because NXT UK is still the closest thing to black and gold you're going to find. And now with Walter coming to America, to steal a phrase, this is what I did not want to happen. I've said this before that I do not want Walter on the main roster. And this is exactly why I don't want Walter on the main roster because as soon as he makes his way over and Vince McMahon looks at him and starts messing with things that aren't broken, that's where we're going to have a problem. Yeah. And it's already started. I mean, whenever we hear the name Walter, this is the face that comes to mind. I mean, he is synonymous with the name Walter. And now he comes over and his first week out of the box as a, U.S. resident, they've already gone and changed his name. I mean, why? I mean, if you're going to give him a better or give him a new name, give him a better name. Like, is Gunther better than Walter? And it's so you're already messing with that. I mean, I had a vision before this happened on Tuesday of the surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble because they still haven't announced the whole field yet.
Yeah.
and they're having, the parade of wrestlers to the ring, and somewhere around number 20 or whatever, Walter's entrance kicks in. The whole roof would have blown off the place. You do the white light, the silhouette, play the music, because everybody knows who he is, even though um, people who are following the main roster probably don't follow the NXT brand very much. We still know who
Yeah.
Walter is,
Mm-hmm.
and that pop would have been huge. And everybody chanting Walter as he comes to the ring would have been epic. And as that presence coming down would have been amazing. And now you've already gone and ruined that potential moment. I'm not saying Walter or now Gunther is going to be hard to say because we always know him as Walter. It's going to be a different vibe even if he is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't like it at all. The new name sucks. Can he get it over? Maybe. Um, they need to leave the Stark angle out of it. I heard he was maybe associated with Zoe Stark,
Mm-hmm.
but looking at those two, that doesn't fit in any way. Maybe brand them as a cousin or whatever, but um, I hope they stay away from that because you got one person with no personality, and then standing next to Walter, who is as stoic as you can get. So you're getting nothing there.
Do you think the fans will rally and just start chanting Walter no matter what, though?
That's what
I
I'm
almost
hoping.
like
That's
at
what
the
I'm
Royal
hoping.
Rumble. I could see the Royal Rumble if he shows up. You're going to have fans trying to get the Walter chant. Now, if WWE plays with production, they might have Gunther ready. So, that might play a part in that. But you do wonder. Now, I think the NXT crowd, Greg, I think for well, I guess other than that little incident stuff with MSK and trying to sabotage them, it seems like NXT kind of goes with the flow. You wonder if maybe they'll chant Gun or Gunther, and but yeah, I'm real curious to see because, like you said, I mean, I feel like he's a pretty good shot for the Royal Rumble. He was in the Survivor Series there, and whenever they had the NXT brand, because him and Seth had a Raw match, I believe, right before that happened. So I'll be curious to see what fans will do with the name. And like we said, if he could just, still be who he is and don't have any, you know, changes, cosmetically, I think things will roll, but, it's still going to be a little bit
Yeah,
to overcome.
but you're going from a Walter chance, which sounds awesome in a full arena, to a gun. You
Gunther.
get even
We got to figure out
Gunther,
which
right,
way it is.
right, and that's another problem. I mean, you don't want to create that problem with just a chant. I mean,
Hmm.
you can emphasize the gun part of Gunther, I guess, and
Hmm.
so it's Gunther, but
Yeah.
still, it's not a cool sounding name. Walter in it made sense. It's in
Yeah.
our system, so it comes out natural. Um, I'm optim. I can't say optimistic, but I hope that, like you said, they leave everything else the same. Leave the entrance the same. Leave the music the same. Leave his attire the same, and let him still be Walter with a with the Gunther name. So if they do that, he'll be fine. If they don't, and that's the part I'm worried about the most, he's going to be chasing the 24/7 championship in about 6 months.
And I guess I do think when he's done with WWE, he can go back to Walter. Like, he won't, in a way, if this Gunther thing doesn't work out, Greg, at least he has Walter. Like Keith Lee,
Right.
I feel like is kind of fighting the battle. Like we know who Keith Lee is, but he's gonna have that little stink of Bearcat, you know, not necessarily attached to him, but I think that's why Keith Lee hasn't really gone anywhere yet. I think he wants everything kind of refreshed. Like, at least Walter will have Walter to fall back on.
Yeah.
Like what if he was Walter this whole run, Greg, and then, you know, got a bad stink of it, does that ruin him, or not ruin him necessarily, but he'd have to, kind of recreate himself from there. So, yeah, like I said, I'm talking out both sides of my mouth because why not? I mean, that's what we're paid. We're not paid to do. We show up to do.
That's
So
what we do, right?
that's what we do. So how about this though? We got a couple news and notes about people staying. Sami Zayn, Greg, has agreed to a contract. Not surprising, I don't think. I think once we saw Kevin Owens stick around,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are just tied at the hip. So that means, Greg, we need our Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn tag team championship run down the road, because I think that would be a hell of a lot of fun. And then Ali, unfortunately, Mustafa Ali, the release has not been granted, obviously, and I don't know if it's going to be. So he might just be sitting at home collecting a paycheck, maybe setting up for what's next. But it might be a multi-year deal, I'm hearing. And I mean, would any of us want to be stuck at home writing out any job? So I feel a little bit bad for him. I thought they would just kind of move on and give it to him, because if you're not going to use him, you have all this other guys around that you're not using. So, unless they're going to somehow come, like maybe him and Vince are going to have just a sit down meeting and have some mediator, some third party there to kind of help ease the tension. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel bad for him because he hasn't been on TV since November, I believe it was, and it doesn't sound like he'll be on TV anytime soon. So, I mean, I guess you'll get to stay home with the family and hang out, but they're wrestlers, Greg. Like that can only
Yeah.
go. I mean, and I know he's a big, like like from his social media. Obviously, he has deep love for the family, but I think at the same time he wants to work. So it's a really weird. It's going to be a weird time for him, and I feel bad for him in that regard. So you could kind of tackle these two topics there. And then I got one more piece of new news that I just saw come today. So have at it.
Yeah. Sami Zayn, I'm not surprised by this. Like you said, Kevin Owens signed up, that Sammy be sure to follow. Sammy's doing some really fun stuff right now. I mean, if I could be a superstar, um, he would be probably third or fourth on my list as far as, guys that I could be for maybe a week
Mm-hmm.
and just do their story.
Yeah.
Sammy is doing some fun, entertaining stuff lately. The Johnny Knoxville stuff is ridiculous, but it's funny. Um, the whole piece of business that he did with Brock Lesnar was epic.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they did in the ring together was amazing. The whole conspiracy thing that's been going on for over a year, um, been loving it. So he's getting good stuff. It's secondary, off the main quest type of stuff, but it's still great stuff, and he makes it work. It's not, you know, it doesn't get the most concentration, the most production behind it, but he makes it work, and you can tell he's having fun with it. He loves what he's doing, and it shows when you see a segment. So
Yep.
I'm happy for Sammy, and he's in a niche that's comfortable him, kind of like our troop. Um, so I love seeing it. Love seeing the Sammy dance. I hate they changed his music, um, but Sammy's making it work. He's cultivated a dance to go with his new music, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about the Sammy dance. You know that. So good for Sammy. As far as Ali, I mean, selfishly, uh, I wouldn't mind being paid to stay home and um, do nothing. But at the same time, if I was a pro football player and I was sitting at home, getting a paycheck, I would not be happy. I would be wanting to get out there and play
Yeah.
Yeah.
with my teammates, with my
Mm-hmm.
partners, and so I get that it's it's nice to be able to draw your money without taking all those bumps and everything. But at the same time, you miss being out there with your coworkers, you miss taking those bumps after a while, and the energy of the crowd. And as a performer, I could definitely feel that. Um, 'Cause I've done everything from theater to singing in a rock band, so that energy you get from the crowd, there's no match to that. So I get it. Um, as brutal as of a sport that he's in, and yes, it is a sport. Um, it's I'm sure it'd be nice for a little while to be able to stay home and still get your salary, but after a while, you're going to be chomping at the bit to get back out there and be in the mix and get that energy, get that vibe with the fans. And when it's taken away from you, it must be one of the worst things ever. So I feel Farley, and there's not much recourse for him if they've said we're not giving you a release. I mean, you can act out against the system, or do the Jeff Hardy thing and just exit in the middle of a match and get cut. But are they going to sue you after that? So um, they have it for Jeff, but that was kind of a weird thing. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
think
just
you can
saying he
use
doesn't
that.
seem like the type would do that. He's you just like you said, and he has a bigger message. That's what was his whole thing. Like, he wants to prove, beyond wrestling what he is. So it just kind of stinks to see that. But and then one other note, real quick. So Leo Rush, Greg, on February 14th, 2022, my contract will expire with AEW, and I will become a free agent. So kind of maybe a little
Hmm.
surprising there because we had the whole, we haven't seen him with Dante Martin, so that probably explains why. I think he's going to just do independent stuff. Maybe Impact Wrestling if he wants a kind of a, you know, a steady contract, Greg. But I feel like him might just be the type. He's kind of doing the rap thing as well. I know he talks about dropping albums and all this. So I mean, is there any chance WWE sniffs back at him, or do you think he wants to go down that road again?
No, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't set the world on fire since he left WWE. Um, he's done some, fun stuff. His little run with Dante was cool. Um, I watched the GCW show that was the main event was Moxley against Nick Gage, and he was on that card.
Okay.
And he looked like he was having a lot of fun, in the mix there.
Mm-hmm.
They had a big kind of like a 6-man, 7-man, like X Division type match
Yeah.
with weapons and things like that. But it looked like they were having a good time. And so I can see him doing something like that and just enjoying being an indie and booking himself wherever he wants to go and not confining himself to one uh, company for a while. So his name's still out there. People know who he is, and they still pop for him when he comes out. So if I was him, I would take some time just to do your own thing before getting back into the like real corporate structure of a
Yeah.
major company. So
And
um,
GCW, they're becoming that little, almost like ECW of the early 90s or late 90s, 2000. It feels like, they're getting a buzz. And I've even thought about buying, I think they got a pay per view or, tomorrow night that I've been thinking about pulling the trigger on just to watch something different. So, like you said, I mean, they're becoming that little buzz alternative. That now they feel like the alternative. AEW's kind of fallen into a little bit. The second company behind WWE, or on that same tier. Now that GCW, because they're pulling anybody. I mean, Jeff Jarrett's going to be showing up tomorrow night against Effie, and we saw Jeff Jarrett last night. So it's going to be interesting to see what that GCW could do over this next year, Greg. Because I feel like this could be a really good year for them. Just pulling out. They're going to be at the Hammerstein, which is the
yep.
old ECW arena, and that could
Hmm.
really makes you think of the one night stand pay per view and all the ECW stuff there. So that'd be kind of a fun thing to tune into. I think tomorrow night. So um,
Yeah, they are becoming like the new ECW. And I took a flyer on that one pay-per-view just because of the main event after
Yeah.
what we saw from Nick Gage and the match against Jericho, and so like him and Moxley going at it in that same fashion. Okay, so
Mhm.
I expected it to be like glorified backyard wrestling, but it was better than that. They had some stars turn up for that. About the Matt Cardona,
Yep.
um, that card I watched with Moxley and Gage. Thunder Rosa showed up.
Mhm.
Um, there were a bunch of names on that card
Mhm.
that night. Plus, the last tag team that I really haven't seen that have the biggest name. I don't know if you're familiar with the Briscoe brothers.
Yep.
They showed up on that card too as um, new contenders to the tag team champs. And the tag
Mhm.
team champs, their storyline was we've beaten everybody, blah, blah, blah. There's nobody left, blah, blah, blah. And then the Briscoes come out and they have a little fun segment there. So people that we know from other companies are coming to GCW because they're getting that same vibe. They're like, okay, this is a happening place to be. And it's not
And
just backyard wrestling with a camera.
yeah,
Um,
it's
it's
some legit
actually pretty
wrestling.
good. Yeah. I
And
was
I think
surprised as you were.
the Briscoes have a open challenge tomorrow night, and I wonder if FTR was going to answer that. That was part of my wanted to maybe tune in as well. So I'm pretty sure that's one of the matches. And I think Matt Cardona is going against somebody. So yeah, I might check it out. Give like you said, take a flyer on it and kind of
Yeah.
see what they're doing down there, and just kind of keep it in the background of
Yeah.
things to watch. So let's take a quick commercial break. I think I timed them out so we can actually don't have to do all three at once. I think I finally got it working today. But we'll get some elite performance talk real quick. Then we'll get into WWE, all the week happenings there. All right, let's get right into Raw from Monday night. So, Greg, we kind of started the night with Dewdrop and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch defeating Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. We have the Dewdrop and Becky going for the Royal Rumble. I thought, Greg, maybe Liv and Bianca might get the win here and maybe find themselves in the match for Royal Rumble, but I'm kind of glad we're sticking to Becky and Dewdrop to really give Dewdrop that chance to kind of show what she can do in a one-on-one, championship match. And, I feel like that might open the night of Royal Rumble or kind of be in the middle of the night, but hopefully it gets, 10 to 12 minutes of time. And, we'll see if Becky could deliver the main handle slam. But good win for Dewdrop. And, Dewdrop did pick up the win in this match because obviously she's not beating Becky. But I'm still glad she'll get the one-on-one match. Is that kind of where you were headed to, Greg, or what do you think about the opening tag team match there?
Yeah, I agree. I like that they're keeping Dewdrop strong and letting her pick up these pinfalls. It makes her look better. Her standing, as a one-on-one competitor against Becky makes her look better, look stronger, and break away from the formula of doing multi-person championship matches, which they've really been, overkilling lately. So I'm all down with just keeping it the way it is. Becky against Dewdrop, and having a strong match, just the two of them.
Yep. Kevin Owens defeated United States champion Damian Priest. I don't think this is hurting Damian Priest. Actually, Greg, I'm kind of maybe I would like to see Kevin Owens get that U.S. title back and then let Damian Priest move up, in a way. So Damian Priest kind of moves on down the road. And then maybe Kevin Owens can kind of bring back that open challenge feel because, we really haven't
Mhm.
seen that in a while. Even as a heel, I think he could do it. Especially maybe him and Seth. Maybe 1 week Seth tries to answer it or something like that. So I kind of would love to see Owens take the title off of Damian Priest, and then and we haven't seen. I mean, Owens. When's the last time he won a title? I feel like it's been a while. He's due for some gold, especially with the re-signing. It could be a nice little hey, thanks, thanks for sticking around. But I'm kind of in these. I love Damian Priest as well, Greg, but I think Damian Priest needs to also move on from the U.S. title. Maybe find himself in the Money in the Bank match and put a good run there, and then kind of keep moving up that ladder. So I wouldn't think it'd be a bad thing if he lost it, because I think in the long-term picture, you could move him up. So what did you think about Kevin Owens and Damian Priest's match, and where do you see Kevin Owens kind of going, Greg?
I agree with you. KO is overdue to have a title. He's been doing excellent work with everybody. From Lashley to Roman Reigns, the stuff he's doing with Seth, everything he's been doing has been great. So, and he just re-signed, here's your reward kind of thing. And, let him take the ball and run. Priest loses nothing by losing this match. He's one of those contenders matches. And, now he shows himself as a legit contender. Nothing wrong with him, taking an L here and there. It adds depth to your character. I do wish they'd go away from the whole, Damian side and Priest side and really taking the name too literally. I liked the name before they started differentiating. This is the evil side and this is the good side.
Yeah.
It was kind of unnecessary. They could have just left it as it was. It was okay, or it was fine as it was. So I do think they need to pull away from that a little bit. The crazy eyes and signaling he's going to the bad place. It's a little too much. Let him do his thing naturally.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can still put him on a upward trajectory by putting him in bigger matches, your Royal Rumbles, stuff like that, and let him have a strong showing. And, even if he loses, he's still in that upper mid card area. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I am surprised that they changed up the music, and unless it's just one of those we'll just see if this will work. And, now you just, now you're kind of stuck with it because you can't really go back to, Archer of Infamy. So now you're kind of moving ahead with this. So obviously RK Bro crashed the whole Alpha Academy graduation ceremony, Greg. Next week, we're going to get an Alpha Academy challenge, academic challenge. Which shenanigans will happen? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's going to end with some tables being broken, I think.
You think we're heading maybe like a table match down the road? I mean, I'd be fine with, some sort of gimmicky. I kind of miss the days of gimmicky tag matches. I mean, I feel like that's another thing we haven't seen in, a good ladder match for the titles or tag team or chairs match, TLC style match. So,
yeah. And Riddle said what I was thinking as soon as he came up with the whole academic challenge, like kind of Billy Madison. And that's exactly what he said. I was like, and the look on Otis's face was great. His facials were great when he was talking about doing the academic challenge. And Otis like, really?
Like he's not ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Giving the side eye, like, you don't mean that, right? So you got figured the two brains on each side, and then the two not brains as their partners, and who's going to. So it'd be a cool comedy segment, but I think it's going to end with some tables being broken.
Well, Greg, your boy, Finn Balor. I think we got our gatekeeper now. Yep. I think we found our, because Austin Theory defeated him, which I understand, because it's Austin Theory, but man, it sucks. It's at the expense of Finn. We're not going to see Finn in anything important anytime soon, Craig. So, yeah. That's all I got on it. That's all I could say.
Hashtag justice for Finn.
Is gone.
It's so not right. It is
Yeah.
so not right. And I've ranted on it enough. You know how I feel.
Yeah.
I hate it to the nth degree. He does not deserve this. And then they tried to show Vince putting all the pressure on young Austin, talking about how he's going to eviscerate him if he lost the match. But still, come on, man. That's Finn Balor over there.
Yep.
You give respect, but that was brutal. So yeah, I'm tipping my 40 out for Finn right now because it's over. It
might be as long as the Mississippi River after it's all said and done. He'll go out to the.
When I finish with this 40, I'm going back to the liquor store. I'm getting more 40s. I'm tipping them all out too.
You're just gonna get a keg and just let it empty. But I can't. Yeah, I love me some Finn. So it just sucks because there's this is when we need like Jobber City. Like would it hurt Austin Theory to run through some jobbers first and then
right.
But
bring back the Mulkey Boys.
Yeah, Brooklyn Brawler. But how about Nikki Ash launching another attack? I'm kind of loving the delusional superhero thing that she's going into. It might have some legs because, like I said, I feel like this is her last. If this doesn't get her to where she needs to be, Greg, it's kind of like, okay, she's going to be in Finn Balor territory. She's going to eat L after L. So, another attack there. I have a feeling Rhea's going to get the upper hand in the end of it, but we'll kind of see where it goes, as it unfolds. So, any thoughts on that segment, Greg?
Yeah. Did you? And if you haven't, you should. Have you seen the movie Brightburn?
No, I have not. I haven't heard of that.
It is an evil superhero who is smaller, almost like child size.
Oh, okay.
But the essence of evil.
Yeah.
And it seems innocent enough at first and just gradually becomes like the most demented superhero ever. So he's got powers and he uses them in the most vile ways. It's fantastic. And it reminds me a little bit of Nikki.
Is that a Tubi original?
No, Brightburn was a major.
Okay. I guess I just had, just joking. We had to bring up Tubi at some point.
Hey, don't think I wasn't going to get to it. And it's if you merged Sanity Nikki with current Nikki, you would have a Brightburn situation going on where she's just taking on this evil mindset. She's smaller, but vicious to the nth degree. And definitely watch that movie. Everybody go watch that movie because it's awesome. It's 90 minutes of your life that you will love. Yeah. So I'm all about that superhero life, and it was great. It was a different take, and it was excellent. So I hope they're leading somewhere with that, where Nikki just becomes more and more vile, and they have managed to merge Sanity Nikki with current Nikki, and give us something like that. So like I said, I like what they're doing right now with turning her, and using the whole crazy people don't think they're crazy kind of that angle of it. Keep doing that because I like how that's going, and they keep making her more and more evil, and she still thinks that she's in the right, justified. Yeah. That makes it better. So
like a vigilante,
keep doing that.
Almost.
Right.
Yeah. So, and like I said, I think don't go too far into it, but you just want her to like right on that verge of not, kind of like the Kevin Owens. Like, Kevin Owens is so good at that end. Like he thinks he's doing it in the right sense, but he's really not. So, what else? We got almost defeating Reggie. Nothing much there, right, Greg? Okay.
No.
Anyways, The Miz and Maurice got over on Edge and Beth Phoenix because Maurice had a brick in her purse. But next week, Greg, we know that Edge and Beth Phoenix will get the upper hand because they're doing a birthday celebration, which will be the most elegant, extravaganza. Maurice, sorry, baby, you're going in that cake. If there's a cake out there, or somebody will come out from the cake.
Yep.
The Miz will probably go in it as well. So we will get a couple shenanigan segments, Greg, but I can't, I'm still looking forward to seeing how this match is going to play out, because I feel like Maurice is going to come out on the upper hand because she's kind of like the weak link, but then she'll be the one that somehow finagles her way into a win. So any thoughts, Greg, on this week's segment or next week's upcoming segment?
Yeah, it's them trying to one up each other is kind of taken away from the seriousness of the match.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can turn it back up once we actually get to the Rumble, but now it's just becoming a little ridiculous. We could have seen the whole loaded purse thing a mile away. So it was kind of an eye-rolling experience for me, but it is what it is. You got to fill up these weeks somehow before you actually get to the match. So, man.
And I felt like the purse was going to play a part a little bit ago, because she brought the purse with her, but then they never used it. So that's why I was like, okay. Because I thought there was that one week when she had it like on the ring step and then didn't even use it. And I was like, well, what's the point of that? Because, it felt like then. So the Street Profits, Rey Mysterio, Dominic defeat Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, Apollo Crews, Commander Aziz. Just the faces getting over, kind of like a house match, live event, nothing there. But the end saw Bobby Lashley defeat Seth freaking Rollins by DQ because the Usos came out there, laid out super kicks to Seth Rollins. A really good match before that, shenanigans, because Bobby Lashley does really well with, smaller guys because they could sell for him. Then he also can kind of sell for them. So hopefully we get Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins down the road, Greg, in a kind of a legit, one-off match, because it feels like, they could really do some stuff together. So any thoughts on the end of Raw there for you, Craig?
It was fine, just set the stage for, the continuous storylines on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And, Seth so eloquently evaded the ambush on SmackDown. You kind of can see that the Usos are going to try to get it back on Raw. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but it always seems like a little teeny surprise when they do pop up and, the SmackDown guys are on the Raw show. And so.
Well, they haven't really played it up either. Like, oh, yeah, Raw could go to SmackDown, SmackDown could go to Raw during the Royal Rumble season. Like, we kind of forget that they said it last night. I thought Michael Cole did a good job of, kind of saying it. But I felt like Monday night they didn't really say it. So maybe this coming Monday, since it's the week of the Rumble, you wonder if they'll use that a few times just to kind of reiterate, well, yeah, there's a brand split, but we could do it this time. So
yeah, they overkilled it last night on SmackDown. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, but at the same time, you almost needed to, because why were these guys just showing up out, especially for my guy Big E, Greg, which I will get into, because I might be opening up the 40s for him soon. They're on ice right now, and it might be cracked, but so let's get into NXT. As we can see, that some stuff happened on NXT. Your boy Greg, it looks like we'll be stepping up to be the the Grayson Waller foil next. I thought he cut a really solid promo, and I wonder if we could lead to some way, because we keep saying it, Greg, like LA Knight's bigger than his brain right now. So I hope maybe we get some sort of loser leaves NXT. That could be the Waller thing too. Maybe he loses to go on, to go up to the main roster. But we also had Dexter Lumis come out there because he has unfinished business. Unfortunately, Lumis took the loss to Grayson Waller. But I'm kind of hoping LA Knight and Grayson Waller do some sort of, stipulation match that kind of gets LA Knight to the main roster, Greg.
Absolutely. Or as I should say, let's do that. Let's get him up there. I love
Was that
this
an
opening
Impact
segment.
thing? I'm guessing because he kept using it.
Oh yeah, that was definitely the whole shtick is
Okay.
coming out now. The yeah was definitely is the biggest catchphrase, and it's not an insult, it's the fact of life. That was from the little talk show that he did. And he had the little dummy button, and every time he hit the button, he goes, "Dummy, yeah."
Okay.
And it was fantastic. And now he's got somebody to call a dummy with Grayson Waller, and I'm loving it now because he's pulling out the whole shtick now from Impact, and the catchphrases are coming out. How long I've been waiting for it, and now it's coming. So maybe now they're letting him do the whole thing because he's this close to getting on the main roster. And now he's a top guy because of the whole thing with Grayson Waller and them putting him in as the number one heel in the company.
Yep.
And this puts them both pretty much on top. So I'm with you as far as wanting that whole loser leaves angle and getting Knight to the main roster in any way that necessary because he needs to be there. But losing all your veteran presence does suck because us being NXT lifers, I hate to see it going the way it's going. But he LA Knight doesn't belong down there. But the guy can put him over some more, and then come up. So I'm all for it. They going old school and pulling out the whole restraining order.
Yeah.
That's real old stuff right there. But going with that to make Waller more heelish. So I like it going back into the vault and pulling that stupid thing out. So I'm good with it. And anything that keeps LA Knight in the ring, cutting promos, I'm all for it. So let's keep doing that.
And then we also had we'll kind of combine the Dusty Rhodes matches together, Greg. So we had the Creed brothers defeat Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. Not a surprise there. I think the Creed brothers are on a collision course to those finals. But Legado de Fantasma eats an L, Greg, to the upstart team of Malik and Idris. And that's probably an upset. I really wanted Legado to finally have something, especially if you're not calling them up yet, because we can use tag teams on the main roster. So maybe that's why they ate the L. But a big surprise there. I thought Legado at least pick up a win here and, possibly make it to the finals. But we will not see that happen. But like I said, Creed brothers, not a big surprise with them. You had the little segment with Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen possibly hanging out with Casey and Caden, and then Wendy Chu. I don't know how the hell she got on top of that locker, but she was there napping as well, sipping on her tea or whatever she's sipping on. So, hey, if I could show up to work, Greg, in a pair of pajamas and just, look cozy, I'm not going to turn that down. So, what about the Dusty Rhodes Classic, though, matches here, Greg, that we, like I said, kind of throwing them together, but makes kind of sense to do that.
Yeah. I saw y'all called your shot with Legado taking the whole thing down. I was like, I don't think they're going to get out of the first round. So I kind of saw the upset coming. It seems like they've given some plenty of camera time to Inoue and Blade. I haven't looked at the brackets, but I can see them ending up in the final match to determine the winners. But I think the Creed brothers are actually going to win the whole cup. So, the matches were good as far as good as I can expect out of 2.0.
Yeah.
It's still kind of, but, they serve their purpose. As long as MSK doesn't win, I'm fine. But give me the Creeds, and I don't know what they're doing with the whole hookup situation with Brooks and Jensen and Casey and Caden. That doesn't look right. The segments are
because
stupid.
they're making the one guy look just dumb. like, oh, I like you, but I don't like. Okay,
Right. It's just
we don't need
retarded.
any more. We've kind of moved on. I've kind of moved on from romance angles after Indy
Yeah.
and Dexter. Like that was the big one. That we don't need anything right now. But unfortunately, it looks like they're going that route with that. So Dante Chen and Guru Raj ended in no contest because Duke Hudson came back. It looks like he'll might. You talk about top heels, Greg. He'll probably be positioned as one of those second or third rate guy to kind of, obviously Grayson Waller right now is, positioned high above everybody. But I feel like they're really going to make Duke Hudson and, kind of going to the next segment, Tony D'Angelo. I feel like they're really building him up, especially calling out Carmelo Hayes. So a couple things there if you want to tackle those real quick and let me know your thoughts on Duke Hudson coming back and then Tony D'Angelo and the whole, segment with Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, we haven't seen Duke in a while. I guess he needs time to,
Let
let
the
that
hair
hair
grow
grow out,
out.
grow even.
Yep.
I like Duke Hudson. His mic work, his ring work seems a little more advanced than most of the other newbies in 2.0. Um, and he gives you a good match. So I'm just happy to see him back. He's just as heelish as he was before. Thinks he's the best thing in the room. So, keep doing that, Duke. I like it. Um, and then Tony D'Angelo, I've ranted about the stock characters and how corny they are, but he seemed to be making it work. And you
Mm-hmm.
can tell with the audience response to him. They're liking what he's doing and, responding to what he's saying.
And I see a lot of this
Um,
in the fans now.
Right, the forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, people are getting into it. Um, so, I'll keep going with it because it seems like he's found an air of legitimacy to give to it. He's really playing it, and living it. And, when you get the character you're given, you can give it that much more life. And I can tell that he gets it. So I don't know if he gets home from the PC and immediately starts putting on Sopranos or whatever he's doing. It's working. Um, so the guy comes over huge and people are down with it. And calling out Carmelo, seems like it's putting up heel versus heel, but I think the fans are turning him into a face.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I
even
can see
after
that.
all his talk and going up against guys like Pete Dunne
Mm-hmm.
and hitting him with breaking his fingers with crowbars and doing the mafia thing, that
Yep.
people are still putting him over as a baby face, even though he's supposed to be a heel. So it just shows his gimmick is working. He's found out a way to make it work, and people like it. So that's all you can ask for.
I guess it'd be really funny if Tony D'Angelo just went home, Greg, and didn't watch any of that stuff and was like a big fan of something really serious or something he just I don't even know what a serious show is, but anyways, yeah, what if this he just really pulls that part. But how about some women matches to talk about? Ivy Nile, Greg, getting a big win over Kaylee Ray, but we saw that Kaylee Ray is probably going after Mandy Rose, which is good because that can keep adding to Mandy Rose's stock as champion. And then Dakota Kai, Greg, just get her to the main roster. She does not need to be. Talk about people that do not need to be down there. Dakota, I hope she's a surprise entrance in the Royal Rumble, and then gets the main call, roster call, because right now, yeah, I just feel like she's just kind of down there for no reason. So, but congrats to Ivy Nile. Maybe Diamond Mine isn't as dead as I thought, especially when you consider Walter Imperium and Roderick Strong and all that happening, Greg. So, yeah. What about Ivy? What about some of the women's stuff, though? Ivy Nile picking up a win.
Yeah, I like it. Getting her over against somebody established like that. Um, she, I like her look, and um, everything she does fits. She's not doing moonsaults and pretty moves. She's doing things that would make sense for a girl her size, and it looks powerful, looks strong, and that makes her more believable. So definitely down with it. She just stick with that, and then using the more established um, ladies in the ring with her is only going to add to what she's doing. So
Oh, excuse me.
I hope they continue doing what they're doing now to get her over, because her presentation is 100% different compared to everybody else in the women's division. So I want them to continue doing
And
that.
at some point, you could probably build her as an underdog with that size, and maybe not having to kind of fight against bigger opponents and like Rey Mysterio style and just overcoming that. So
Yeah.
I think there's some good things happening for her. What about Dakota Kai, Greg? Are you in my camp of she needs to be up on the main roster, or should she be down there kind of helping the women down there?
No, get her out of it. Get out of there. Get her on the main roster. She can be so much more effective. I see her being like a Bailey.
Yeah.
Because when she's a heel and allowed to do, portray it the way she likes it, she's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So let her do that, and there's plenty of fresh matchups up there. Everything everything now is dead in NXT, and she needs that reboot. Let her tweak her character a little bit, and she'll be killing it as soon as she gets up there.
And then Gunther defeated Roderick Strong in a really impressive match. I think both of them are going to be feeling those chops for a couple more days. But obviously, Greg, and we thought maybe Roderick Strong was done. Maybe he's got a few more months left, or a couple more months, probably to maybe finish up this stuff in the Imperium. And then we'll kind of see if the writing is on the wall that he's out of there. But hey, we'll at least get Diamond Mine and Imperium going at it, and those matches are going to be ridiculous. So I'm kind of glad to see Roderick Strong stick around, because I still think he's needed for Diamond Mine. Like, we kept saying, if you lose that main guy, you're going to need somebody else to step into that role other than Malcolm. Malcolm Bivens can talk it up, but he's not a wrestler. At least I don't think so. He's never shown us anything to be a wrestler. So, we're gonna need Roderick Strong down there for a little bit longer to kind of make sure that Diamond Mine is in the right spot. I mean, I feel like the pieces are there, like you said. If Creed brothers win the Dusty Cup, that helps them. If Ivy Nile just keeps picking up wins, but I still think you need that one last piece of Roderick Strong just to kind of really get them to where they should be. By WrestleMania season-ish. By that next takeover. So, but I'm all for Walter and Roderick going at it again and chopping the hell out of each other.
Yeah, that was a banger of a match. I enjoyed that a lot. They gave them time to, tell a story and have a great match, and they did. So they're getting away from that lately with all the concentration being on, the the millennials of 2.0.
Almost the characters instead of the matches.
Exactly. And this shows what happens when you put two veterans in there and let them do it the old way.
Yeah.
And you get a match like this. So they need to do a better job of mixing it up. But how can they do that if they're taking all the veteran characters and either releasing them or sending them home for no reason, let them walk into another company and not cultivating the young guys that are down there. So it's the whole, it wasn't broke and now you're fixing it and you're over fixing it, which is going to make it operate worse. Yeah. So it's a shame because we're going to be deprived of more matches like this. Maybe not in the short term, because hopefully we get some Diamond Mine versus Imperium scraps, which are going to be awesome because now you got some veterans in there, and that's really going to show a huge difference when you put that portion of the card against the 2.0 version of the card as far as all the young people.
Mhm.
And then hopefully it sends a message to Vince to, that we can't just, throw everybody with more than 3, 4 years of experience out on their heads, and
Yeah.
um, maybe they'll start reversing course a little bit.
I do wonder if this next takeover will kind of be, we'll really see where things can go. We had the December one, and now, I think WrestleMania season is your peak season. So that's going to be telling, you know, really where got, because this is probably going to be a lot of these newer faces, Greg, going at each other. We might
Yeah,
not have Ciampa on there, or, um, we're obviously not going to have Gargano on there, or, some of the names that we were so used to seeing on there. Pete Dunne, even, somebody like that, or Samoa Joe type.
yeah.
So it's going to be really telling for the next one. I believe WrestleMania season. We haven't heard anything yet. I would assume, unless they try to squeeze one in February, but it seems kind of too, you don't want to just rush it either. So I'm kind of curious WrestleMania season where things can go for that. So
Yeah,
next
and
up,
send
let's do.
Kaylee Ray to the main roster too. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think she could be really used on Raw. I think
yeah,
Raw could really use her. So, but SmackDown kind of had some stuff happen last night. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns raised the stakes of their Royal Rumble match. So Seth Rollins, if he won his match, so pretty much they set up a tag team match. They said, Seth Rollins, if you can find a tag team partner, you can go against the Usos. And if Seth Rollins won, he would get the Usos barred from ringside. If the Usos won, they would get Roman's match would just get forfeited. So no match for Roman. But Kevin Owens comes out to even the odds. And Greg, we did get Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens defeating the Usos by DQ because we had Roman out there to cause the disqualification. So the match is still on. I was like, I don't think they would go away from the match. I mean, it's too big, other than maybe trying to save it. But, this is a roundabout way to add some stakes to it, give you some, raise the stakes there. Because we wondered what they could do next, because, you're just going back and forth on talking. You finally need to do some action. So good tag team match. And the Usos, longest reigning SmackDown tag team champions. You have Roman rolling at what, 504 or 508 now.
yeah.
So what numbers? He's still not quite at Hulk Hogan's 1,000 and blah, blah, blah number, Greg. And I do not think that Roman will get to 1,000. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. But he could get, another 100 or so. Well, if we go through WrestleMania, you might have, like we said, another 100 added to that. But what do we think about the opening? And we'll kind of book in the segments, Greg. Opening segment and the last match there at the end of the night.
Yeah, the segments were good. I like the opening segment. Was surprised that Seth used the word Mox during his
Yeah.
intro promo with Reigns. I was like, wow, okay, they let that
And
get through.
McAfee brought it up too a couple times.
Yeah. Um, so that was a little surprising that maybe that forbidden door is
That
opening
might
a
not have been in the
little bit.
promo card. Maybe they just snuck it in there anyway.
Right. Well, at this point, is Seth Rollins. What are you going to do? Fire him?
Yep.
In the middle of the biggest program on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe he's got that type of latitude now. Um, Regardless, I liked it that they hit you with that. And,
Yep.
it definitely popped me when I heard it. Um, the outcome was, you figure that there's no way that they're going to not let this match happen. So the outcome was going to be a formality. It's just how are they going to come to it? So the way it ended was kind of what if either they're going to beat him clean or there's going to be some interference and Roman's going to show up at the end. And that's what happened. He comes in and interferes before the Usos have a chance to lose or about to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, this is a chance now to get my sneak attack in, and I'll see you at the Rumble. So, it is what it is. Just advances the storyline, and on we go.
Yeah. Um, well, Kofi Kingston defeated Madcap Moss, looking like a real Gunther character. I felt like he belonged in Willy Wonka or something like that with the outfit that Madcap Moss had on last night. But Greg, the big news is Big E was out with Kofi in this mess, and I believe they're doing a tag team match next week. So damn you, Xavier Woods, for getting hurt. Damn you for having a broken whatever you have for 4 to 6 weeks, because that means Big E had to get in this mess, and that just solidifies it, Greg. Big E is not winning the Royal Rumble, and Big E's time at the top has ended, and yeah, I don't know where Big E goes for. Hopefully he has a good run in the Rumble, but I'm not foreseeing it now. Yeah, but we will see Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, I believe, face Kofi and Big E in a tag team match next week. So maybe Big E kind of gets some momentum back, Greg, but all of that momentum from everything he did, and yeah, it is all gone. Maybe he needs to go the sad Corbin route, but sad Big E.
I'm not there yet. I'm not feeling that yet.
Well, we're actually on opposite ends for once. Or I was kind of surprised we're on opposite ends on that, but
right. Well, like we said, it is WrestleMania season, and they've made it very clear that this is the time where you'll see Raw on SmackDown, and SmackDown on Raw, and blah blah blah. And we saw multiple multiple examples of that last night with Kevin Owens coming with Seth, with Big E popping up. This is the way you kind of write off him showing up and joining with Kofi just for the moment, because of the time of the season. It's WrestleMania season, Rumble season, blah blah blah, and this is how you can bring him into the mix without pulling the 40 out of the fridge yet. It's not time. He can still have a strong
Madcap and Baron.
Yeah, but it's just a space filler until the Rumble.
Okay.
He can still have a strong Rumble. He can still stay in the title mix, because you still saw serious Big E. It wasn't dancing, swiveling hips.
Yeah.
Big E. It was still angry Big E. And so, until he comes out and he's dancing and he's throwing pancakes or whatever, it still looks like Big E, who's still a legitimate contender to get the title back. It may take another month or two to get another opportunity, but I still think he's in that top mix. I don't think he's out of it yet. So,
okay. Well, I will, like you say, be cautiously pessimistic. Normally it's optimistic, but yeah, I saw Big E out there, Greg, and my head just kind of went down like, not this. Because I normally I love New Day. I want Big E, Kofi, and Xavier right off in the sunset together, because obviously they're going to get in the Hall of Fame together, and that speech will be ridiculous. But
man.
I'm sure that's they'll make it serious and not serious, so I'm sure it'll be fun. But yeah, I just saw him. I'm like, anyway.
It'll be epic for sure.
All right, Aaliyah defeated Natalya, but Xia Li came back up, Greg, with her little super power graphics. Kind of going on the ring as the protector. So I'm guessing we'll get Natalya and Xia Li. Hopefully, Xia Li, gets a good win there. But Aaliyah picking up a couple wins, that's kind of good for her. After not showing up and all this, and we still got the Tony Storm stuff just sitting there in limbo doing nothing, Greg. But Natalya and Xia Li, are we on board for that?
It'll be a fun match. Even she can outlive the whole them trying to make her into Raiden from Mortal Kombat. Uh, the whole graphics and her being made of electricity is kind of cringeworthy. Um, but we still haven't seen her in a real match yet. We've seen her throw a few
Yeah.
kicks, but once she's in the ring in actual matches and can show that she's uh, main event worthy or main roster worthy, uh, it should be good because they can do nothing but go up as far as having depth in the women's division. So I like her being there. The presentation is a little corny, but whatever it takes to get your foot through the door, and then you can start banging in heads with the door. So let's go Xylee.
I was trying to think of what should remind. Yeah, Mortal Kombat would be the biggest kind of reminder that I noticed. Yeah, that's a good Raiden. That's why I was like trying to think of what she reminded me of, and yeah, haven't played a good Mortal Kombat game in years, but I think I had Mortal Kombat 10. Now that I'm going off, but anyways, so Viking. I didn't want to talk about the Viking Raiders defeating Los Lotharios. Great, that's probably why I went to Mortal Kombat mode. But anyways, they won. But let's get into the SmackDown stuff or the Women's Championship scene. So we had Charlotte defeat Naomi because Sonya Deville involved herself as a referee. I was kind of hoping Naomi would just take out Sonya because technically she didn't have on the jacket. So I was like, well, it could make sense that Naomi would go attack her. But it does, then we saw the backstage segment with Eric Bischoff, of all people. I wonder if he might be, maybe he could take over the GM role, on SmackDown. Because I think, Bischoff can be that guy kind of playing both sides of the role. We can either see him go really heel or go face, kind of, maybe helping people, get over. It's a good way to write off Sonya in that role, Greg. And then you have a person waiting in the wings to do it. So do we finally see, though, the one-on-one match? Are we going to wait till Royal Rumble for that? Or
I still,
go ahead.
I still think it's going to happen at the Rumble because that seems like to be the perfect place to pay it off.
Yeah. And like Sonya's job on the line, right?
Right. So this way, you can introduce a match, have it in with some type of fluky finish, and then, have the big match at the Rumble. So I think that's where it's going. But this is a good moment to introduce a new player into the game with Bischoff and, a power shift and finally take, Sonya's power away and all that whole storyline with her and Naomi comes to an end, at the Rumble. It needs to happen on a big stage. So this is the setup, and then the Rumble's going to be the finish.
Or even if we have Bischoff and Adam Pearce as heads of both brands, and maybe Bischoff doesn't need to be on as much, that could be something. Because it was telling that he was on, you think maybe they're trying to work something, maybe try to see how much he wants to do. I don't think, and that's the thing too. I guess full time. I doubt if he wants to do a full time schedule. So maybe he could just be like I'll show up when I need to, like Jack Tunney style, where back in the day, Jack Tunney would just show up in that little office segment and announce a match if he needed to. But Johnny Knoxville hit Sami Zayn with a cattle prod. Yes, this really happened. I don't think it was a real cattle prod, but whatever. Sami Zayn, Greg, though, like you said, just played up this part. But Sami Zayn will eliminate Johnny Knoxville in the Royal Rumble. Correct?
Yeah. Sammy or Johnny's getting all the eliminations before the Rumble, and now Sammy will get his revenge in the
Even
Rumble.
If Sammy gets eliminated right after, he'll still have the one up on Knoxville.
Yeah. So. And Knoxville will be able to pull him out of the ring from outside after he gets eliminated. So we'll see. Are you going to see Jackass Forever when it comes out, Greg? Hell no. I have better things to do with my day.
I kind of want to. Well, like, trim
my toenails.
I'm debating. cut your fingernails with paper cuts.
Exactly. I've
Sheamus
never watched
defeated
a single
Ricochet.
Jackass, and I'm not starting now.
Oh, they're so good. But anyways, Sheamus defeated Ricochet, Greg. And Ridge Holland back. No protective gear for Ridge. So did they want him to break his nose? I guess they just like, let's see what happens. Maybe he'll break it again. Because I thought it was the nose is fine. But I thought it was telling that they didn't try to play up some sort of protective gear. Even though we've kind of done it with Carmella, we've done it with Sheamus, so maybe they thought it was overkill. Maybe WWE finally thought something was overkill for once, Greg, and decided not to go that route. But I was very surprised that Ridge did not show up with any sort of mask whatsoever, as far as that goes. So
Yeah, especially as they said that his nose was smashed into pieces, and he looks perfectly fine. And they said it's only been 20 days since then, and
let's have a hard nose.
Sheamus wore his for how many months? So, and by the way, tipping all the 40s in all the convenience stores out for Ricochet. Dude, Ricochet.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was like, shoot, I told you I've been off Ricochet's train for ever since Drew McIntyre called him out. I felt bad for the dude. I was like, yeah. Well, at least they stopped saying from he's from Paducah, Kentucky, and I was like, dude, we might need to give you like a fake city, like say from Louisville. Or I'm all for people being from real cities, but sometimes you need to just you might need to say something else.
Parts unknown
Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I was kind of surprised Cesaro didn't show up either, because I thought Cesaro might, even the odds there, but we might get that in another week. Or if we just go on my route of Cesaro needs to be with Sheamus again, that would be fine too. So
yeah.
Well, that was SmackDown. Oh, I did kind of mention in passing that Jeff Jarrett showed up, Greg, which was kind of surprising. All dressed up too, like I was like, well, he's not really doing anything. I mean, do you think we see him on TV much more, or is this maybe WrestleMania seasons? He's just going to show up here and there, or any thoughts on why he had nothing else to do? Hey.
He's just making the rounds. I mean, he was on a GCW card recently. I think he was on Impact recently.
So just give him AEW. He could do the full trifecta.
Right. He's just working the circuit, man. He's trying to get these dollars anywhere he can.
Yeah, that's probably more what it is. Next thing we'll see him in Car Shield commercials.
Exactly. I mean, asking Rick Booth how he spells his name. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. That's what I said. All right. Well, that was SmackDown. That's kind of our WWE talk. Let's take a quick commercial break, get into some AEW stuff. And then we got some last call that I'll throw out there at the end of this show, Greg, for you. So let's get some realty talk real quick.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSports1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering, if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322. And make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSports1.com sent you.
All right, we are back. I'm back. I'm here. I'm like the talking head. But anyways,
somewhere.
I'm somewhere. Let's go to the next part. All right. So, of course, Greg, we start off tonight with Jon Moxley returning, telling an F off. Because somebody said, I think was said, like, go get a drink or something like that. I'm like, really? Like, the dude just came back. Come on. Like, fans sometimes, Greg, you just have to wonder why they, like, yeah, you got your 50 minutes of fame. Great. Like, you're an idiot still. So Moxley, made some good points though, coming back, looking better than ever too. I think physically, I mean, he was pretty red. We even talked. You even brought up, Greg, like he looked like he was way too enraged, like way too intense with some of the stuff. And you could tell his face was so beat. And I just didn't think that was normal. I mean, you know, unless you're in the sun tanning booth too long, which I don't think Moxley visits ever in his life. So,
Right.
Just looks much better, healthier, hopefully in that better place. And yeah, I mean, that's all I got. You know, congrats to him. Now, we can bring up Greg, Bubba Ray Dudley. I don't know if you saw these comments saying Moxley doesn't owe the fans apology, but should apologize to the fans, which I thought was completely uncalled for because he went off to get better himself. And he doesn't owe anybody an apology. I mean, you know, maybe other than his family. I mean, you know, if you're going to go that route. So, I mean, Bubba Ray tried to walk it back from the comments, even though he has been radio silent. I think he finally realized foot into mouth disease, you know, because Bubba Ray says a lot of stuff, Greg.
Yeah.
And I think this was one of those times like, okay, that was a little, you know, I get, like, I saw what he was saying, but at the same time, it didn't need to be said. It's one of those things like you just keep it in your brain. So, what do you think about the Moxley return, Greg?
I loved it. He says it was great to see him come back. I knew he was coming back because he had already put a something out on social media that he's going to be at GCW in his first match back. So he's already done the GCW match. But I was happy to see that he was on the way back. And then when he came out here, it was great. It was all love seeing everybody pop for him. All the signs. So, you know, he was, you know, advertised at least locally that he was going to be there. And the promo was a box promo. He's not going to be like your normal wrestler who comes out after a while away, goes, well, I did this and I did that and I did this, and you know, now I'm sorry. That's not him.
Yeah.
He told the story about being asleep and waking up and the devil and whatever, and it was very Mox. And I expect nothing less from him. And we didn't get it, but we got it. And it's like, whatever you went through, brother, it's all good. We're here with you. Welcome back. And you know, we're just happy for him. As far as Bully Ray goes, one of the most fun things that I've done, you know, since I in the disaster that I call my Jeep that I recently bought, is that I get Sirius XM for free.
Yeah.
And it stays on Fight Nation. And
Okay.
if you don't know, Fight Nation is mixed martial arts, pro wrestling, and boxing, all combat sports, all lumped into one channel. So
Okay.
depending on what time you tune in, you're going to get one of those three. And Busted Open is one of the featured shows on Fight Nation. You'll hear it multiple times throughout the day. And Busted Open is Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray, and Dave LaGreca.
Yeah.
Talking about everybody. And so I heard the segment where Bully's talking about Mox, and it cringed a little bit because, like you said, I understand what his point of view, but didn't quite agree with it. You know, when you go away for a serious addiction, a real life addiction, when you come back, you don't have to explain it to anybody. You know, you go, you deal with your demons, you come back, and it's up to you to decide how to explain, you know,
Yeah.
your path, your road that you traveled. And that's the way he decided to do his. And so having to apologize to the fans, there's no need to apologize to the fans. You know, the fans are in your house, you know, living with your, you know, decisions. Everything is personal. So when you come back and you decide to explain it the way you do, that's up to you. Everything that needs to be said on the important side, the serious side, is done behind closed doors, I'm sure, with him and his wife, and want to make things right for his daughter. Um, that's all him. He owes us nothing. So um, bullies just being bullies. He talks a lot, believe me, and you know everything he says is not going to be right, and I think he's wrong on this one. So he's already got the requisite amount of heat plus some
Yeah.
about that. So you saw him near the end of the week. He started walking it back, and um, I think that in a way we made him aware of, okay, maybe I was a little overboard with those comments at the beginning of the week. So
And
you
I
know,
and
but
I'm sure he didn't. His tone never really changes. He's got that one kind of voice level, so it's like it'd be hard to tell how he was stating it. Like you said, you listened to it, so you probably have a better read, obviously, on it. But I feel like when you see the segments he does, it's not like this, kind of inflection, his tone. It's just it's the same voice level. So, but yeah, one of those times that I'm sure he probably thought he was in. It's one of those things, Greg. He probably thought, oh, I'm saying what I need to say. I'm saying what I think I need to say. But then he comes back to realize, I probably didn't need to say that. So
yeah.
it's like Tommy Dreamer realized that, and then Tommy Dreamer kind of hasn't been. Has he been back on with them, Greg? Because I know he was
Um,
kind of gone for a little bit, right?
yeah.
Because of the Ric Flair comments, I think he had.
Yeah.
But
I think Mark Henry has taken his place
mhm.
this week.
And even Tommy
Um,
Dreamer, I don't see much social media activity anymore. So I think Tommy Dreamer just is really, really like, okay, maybe I didn't need to say what I said then. So, but
yeah.
how about Adam Cole and Britt Baker defeating Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander? Adam Cole and Britt looking good together and showing up against Orange and Statlander. Now at Beach Break, we will get the lights out match, Greg, between Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. I think that's going to be kind of awesome to see how that plays out. But that's really, we'll see. Is that the end game or is that just the start? Is that we'll kind of see, these feuds tend to go 3 matches, as we always say, 2 or 3 matches. So I'll be curious if that is the only match they do, Greg, or if this is just the start of it. So where do you think it goes? Do you think this is kind of the end of the line for Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy at Beach Break with the lights out match, or is this kind of the start of it?
For me, I hope it's the beginning because
Mm-hmm.
as of now, the Elite has had the advantage over the Best Friends at every turn.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking forward to Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy or as soon as Adam Cole was um, showed up that first night.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. And they've had one match and a bunch of tag matches, and it hasn't been as satisfying as I've wanted it to be because they haven't isolated Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy as the guys to go at each other. It's always been everybody else in the mix, and it's a big jumbled mess. And that's what I want is just Adam Cole, just Orange Cassidy, and those two going at each other.
And kind of see what
Um,
they can do.
right. And we're finally getting the start of that with this, even though they've had one match, which was really good, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. But, you know, they've he's stuck in his mind so much that he decided to have this lights out match, and this is the match I really look forward to because now we're going to get what we want as far as Orange and Adam Cole, and um, just the fact that Adam Cole has been able to get over on him every time. I'm sure it's going to make Orange Cassidy mad, and we're going to have like the best match of Beach Break between those two. So I'm super excited for it, and I think that's going to springboard the Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy rivalry instead of end it.
And then CM Punk defeated Shawn Spears in about 10 seconds, one
Yeah,
GTS, and that was it. We're still waiting to see when we're going to get, CM Punk and MJF. I'm guessing it'll be Revolution, and like I've said, I think that's going to be Punk's first loss. I think you need to give Punk that loss soon anyway, and kind of get that out of the way, and then kind of build it up from there. So, do you think that happens, Greg, or at least do we see the match at Revolution, or do we see that match beforehand?
Let's see. When is Revolution supposed?
March 6th. So we
March
still got
6th.
the next month and a half ish.
Yeah, by that time, that's where we need to have a match, because you can do but so much talking and do the Bryan Danielson killing the Dark Order angle with Punk going through all of MJF's buddies.
Do you think he needs to go through
on the road
FTR next?
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense. Unless you decide to put a little pitchfork in the road with Wardlow, and that consumes a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Before you get to Punk.
But then that seems more like the Wardlow. Would that be the Wardlow turn, though? Or do we still think that's still a little bit out?
Yeah, I would save the Wardlow turn for after the Revolution.
Punk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe he somehow cost well, that's the thing too. You almost wonder if he could cost MJF in a way, and that would kind of turn him. But I still think I feel like MJF needs to be that first loss for Punk, just so he always has that in his back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But how about so on Bleacher Report, Greg? I just grabbed this title. It said Cody Rhodes drops a pipe bomb. Maybe a pipe bomb in the sense that I don't know where the hell this thing was going. I mean, Cody Rhodes, we keep saying it, Greg. I personally think he's in a hard place because I feel like he wants to cater to the hardcore fans, but then he's still trying to get to the casual fans, and he's still an EVP, and he's got all these other I just don't know if he knows what he wants to be as far as, this character is concerned. And he almost was heelish in a way because he was calling out Sammy Guevara for not being there and all this. And, he's yelling the promo type, Greg, but it was just all over the place as usual. I feel like the promos lately from Cody Rhodes have just been, let's just throw some here. He might have the bullet points and he's just trying to get them all out there. He doesn't necessarily have one bullet point. He just has 5,000 because that's what it feels like. It feels like a shotgun, like a spray. We'll see what the fans latch on to, and then I'll go with that. And this one just talked about he does have the contract. I mean, there's the rumblings like, could he show up in the Rumble? Probably not. But is it fun to think about? Of course, because that's what we do as wrestling fans. We fantasy book everything. We fantasy book our lives sometimes. But what did you think about the Cody Rhodes pipe bomb, if it were?
Yeah, it was a lousy pipe bomb. If he's trying to be Punk, you need to go back to the videotape, because that sucked. He put a lot of guys' names in his mouth, and it was not effective. I don't know what he was getting at. Just poking fun at different guys, or making fun of the audience, or criticizing people. It's like, where are you going with all this? When Punk did his pipe bomb, he was very specific. This guy sucks because A, B, and C, or it resonated with you on a, he was breaking all the fourth walls. Yeah. This right here was Cody just, picking on different talents, like I said, Sammy, and, mention guys that were, on the way up, or guys who weren't, doing well enough backstage or whatever. Him not having a new contract yet. It's like, okay, so what? I mean, you're an EVP. You write your own check.
And I guess it got it to the ladder match for the titles. I guess that's because I even forgot about that until you were kind of talking about it, Greg. I was like, I'm kind of thinking in my mind, like, oh yeah, I forgot he had that big ass ladder in there, and
Right.
you could have just built that up, like, and let's just we didn't even need an interim, and that's what I still think is kind of dumb. Like if Cody was going to be off off like for a month or two, okay, let's do an interim title. He was gone for 2 weeks, like it was now maybe they thought it was going to be longer, and that's why they did it, or just to get something at bat, the title, the Battle of the Belts, which we still think was not not a very solid outing. But anyways, it ultimately got to the ladder match. I'm guessing Cody wins it, Greg.
And at the same time, you could have just called Sammy the number one contender and be done with that, or
Yeah,
at that, instead
Yeah.
of having to give him a new belt. But I don't know. I think this may be Sammy getting it back. It's a ladder match. In ladder matches, kind of the rules are out the window. Not, on athleticism level, I like Sammy getting over on this one. So you'd think that Cody would keep it, but he's got a lot of things going on. He's got the reality show. He's got all these things happening, and if he doesn't have a contract, there's another thing. So
If he wins it, it's pretty much guaranteed he signed a new contract, though. I would.
Yeah, you'd think, what's he going to do? Go back to WWE? No. But at the same time, I'm a Sammy guy, and I hope Sammy wins. But
maybe Brandy comes out there and costs him the title, costs Sammy the title, and then we get all out Triple H and Stephanie McMahon in Brandy and Cody, because they kind of already want to beat them anyway, Greg. So, and Sammy out there, because they're a thing. If you have not seen their social media, they are.
I've seen it.
They are a thing. They're already in love, Greg. I think he's going to propose next week at Beach Break.
Really? Another proposal. This could be like an every other year thing that Sammy proposes to a girl.
He's a young guy. She's a young guy. So who knows? But anyways, so House of Black defeated Varsity Blondes. I still think we got the Julia thing happening, Greg. She was acting really weird out there with the clapping thing and not knowing where to look. So I think that's coming. House of Black worked really good. I like that finishing move where Malachi throws it in to Brody and, just lays him down. And, I'm really looking forward to seeing more. And like we said, I think the Julia Hart aspect could really add some layer to it right there. So any thoughts on that match, Greg?
Yeah, it was really good. I liked the entrance. I hope they're not taking Malachi's music away as far as his individual entrance.
I think he'll get it as a singles guy, and this is their tag team, because it was written by, I think Brody King was in a band that wrote the song for them. So okay. I think they got, I think they'll still have their own individual songs. Because, obviously Malachi's song is so good with the entrance and with everything.
Right. So,
I forget what the Kings of the, what do they call them? Kings of the Throne?
of the Black Throne.
Black Throne, okay.
Yeah. So I love it. I thought it was great. This is the first time I've gotten to see Brody King. Is I don't watch ROH or, all the indie stuff until really recently. But I'm just finding out that, they've tag teamed before, different places all over the world and won championships. So there's familiarity there with them. And now that ROH is folded, at least for the short term, and all those ROH guys are, free to do whatever they want. It definitely looks like it fits with him and Malachi and, advancing the House of Black. And I called it with the Julia thing with, she's slowly going to end up in the House of Black. The whole thing, the eye patch, I think one day she's going to take it off and she's going to have a Malachi-esque type eye. Yeah, so I think that's going to happen. Um, so why else would you explain having them in there with, the varsity blondes every week? So I think that's going to, slowly evolve and eventually end up being what happens with Julia. But yeah, love the out or Malachi and Brody, which is another thing that Cody mentioned. The new guy coming himself and having the balls to call himself Brody after, last year. So,
but then calling out Brody Lee's son to say he can't wait to see him come up in 10 years, and I'm like, what? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, anyways. I mean, like I said, I feel a little bit bad for Cody because I think he wants to please everybody. I think that's what it's trying to do. And guess what? You can't do that. Like, it just never works. Lance Archer defeated Kazarian. I don't know if you saw as well, Greg. Kazarian tweeted out a picture before the match. He had to have the bolsa sack like emptied, and all the drainage. So a lot of credit to Kazarian for fighting through that, because I know we've seen it with John Cena. I think Ciampa has it as well. I mean, that is not it does not look like a fun thing to have. It just looks like an extra elbow on you. So not a bad match. Nothing to, I personally think Lance Archer should just ran through him. I thought they gave Kazarian a little too much offense, personally. Yeah. But Hangman stands tall at the end of it. I'm going to assume we get Hangman and Archer before Revolution. I don't think that's really I don't know. I mean, I guess if we don't have anybody else in the wings, though, Greg, like Adam Cole is still the number one guy, ranked guy, so he should be getting a shot. But do you think we get that match? I guess we brought it up. Like, Hangman and Lance just feels like a Dynamite main event, or even, I hate saying Rampage main event, but like I just don't. Right now, Lance Archer, like, yes, he's good and he's big, and he's a big challenge for Hangman, but it does not feel like an all-out like pay-per-view type match.
Yeah, I agree with that. Enough of us aren't that high on Lance Archer. If this was back in the days where you had to buy your pay-per-views for, $49.99, this would draw horribly. So, Lance Archer is okay. I mean, he hasn't done anything spectacular to really stand out. He just looks different. He wrestles a little different, but he doesn't carry that same name weight that other guys do. So, it definitely feels like a big main event for a Dynamite.
Yeah. And he's already had some shots at the title, and he's had shots at the TNT title. So it's like, like I get it. Like, we're trying to get Hangman guys that he can go over strongly, or kind of position him out, because like we said, I still feel like we might need to go the Bryan Danielson Hangman 3 and just have something, some sort of match there. So how about Serena Deeb, though, Greg? She's slowly but surely she's becoming one of the glue women of AEW, which I did not foresee. I mean, she's picking up wins. She could be in one, she could go the TNT title, or sorry, TPS title, or the women's title, and be a legit contender. She defeated Sky Blue, but we still got this. Her and Sheeta probably need to do some sort of final match there. But Serena Deeb she's kind of reinvented herself with this whole AEW career, right, Greg?
Absolutely. I wasn't high on Serena Deeb when I first saw her arrive on the scene. She was just kind of meh. But, I remember Serena going all the way back to the beginning of the Straight Edge Society when CM Punk shaving her bald in the middle of the ring on live TV. But since then, she's, been a wrestling lifer, and she's become really good. Her matches have been great. All the ones I've seen, those matches with Sheeta, her brutality, it's been awesome. So I've been really impressed with her as the time's gone by and she's got more exposure. So,
Mhm.
now she's in a match. I want to see, what she does because she's going to pull out something brutal and she's going to, give you a great match in the process. So, I've turned the corner with Serena Deeb, so I'm in with her now. So, uh, definitely needs to be, some type of no holds barred match to finish off the um, storyline with Sheeta,
Mhm.
and then keep moving her up through the ranks because I'd love to see her against Britt Baker or Jade down the road.
Yeah, because you don't feel like she'll win the title, but she could be a good, viable contender. So,
Hmm.
speaking of not turning the corner, I did not turn the corner on the Acclaimed with that match with Sting and Darby Allin. Um, yeah, Sting and Darby
Holy
Allin
crap.
won, Greg. They won. In case you didn't realize, that was never in doubt. I mean, good for the Acclaim. They got a little putt, they got a main event slot. Um, got to do the little goth phase music video. I still wanted Stang out there, but Stang did not show up. So, Heath Slater, why couldn't you have just shown up one night for AEW as Stang? I'm sure you could have worked it out with somebody there. In case you didn't know that he was Stang for a little bit. So, or just, I think he's played it up somewhere in some weird venue. So, anyways, Greg, any thoughts on uh, that main event?
Yeah, that was 15 minutes of my life I can't have back. So um, I don't
Hopefully,
need it. I
Beach
don't.
Break kind of gets it back in the. I feel like the Dynamites have kind of found a plateau. Is that what it feels like for a little bit
In certain places. I mean,
in certain places? Yeah.
most of this was good. I mean, I think Cole and the tag team match with Cole and Britt should have been the main event, and we could have led off with Sting and Darby against the Acclaim.
Mhm.
Um, it would have been a lot better flow wise because
Yeah.
that was kind of a waste in my opinion. As much as I love Sting, love Darby, um, it takes away from the believability of it all. Sting's a 60-year-old man. Am I going to walk into anywhere and worry about taking a punch from a 60-year-old man? No. And these young studs are having to sell from them like they're getting hit by the Incredible Hulk or something.
Yeah.
It's not cool. I I give props to AEW for staying out of that realm with all the legends that are roaming around backstage, like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard and Sting and Jake Roberts, that they're not putting them in the ring and giving them, another one last shot of glory or whatever, except for with Sting, with as much temptation as they may be back there to do something like that.
We
Um,
still wonder if we'll get Tully and Arn sometime, Greg. Because remember we had
yeah,
Tully. Didn't he jump off the second rope there a couple times? Do a couple moves.
yeah,
So, and we've had Arn. Now that we have Arn with this whole Glock gimmick, you never know. Like, could we get some FTR versus Dustin and Lee Moriarty and Arn Anderson gimmick thing? But yeah, we keep going back to it. I do think AW production wise kind of forgets which way they need to go. Like you said, the Cole Britt Baker stuff had all the momentum. I feel like they almost want to throw the beginning of the show, have that all be because like they gave us Brian Danielson and Hangman Page at the beginning of what
yep,
both Dynamites or
both, yeah.
both, yeah. So it's just one of those things. I guess they just think we're going to go the opposite way of WWE and just have little main events and have our main event be at the beginning of the night. I don't know, but yeah. So, what do we think, Greg? Does Johnny Gargano show up next week at Beach Break? Because it was in Cleveland, Ohio, home of
Ah,
Johnny Wrestling.
and our 30 days are up.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe just
I,
a promo or something, or
yeah, I would definitely love that. Um, So I'm going to say yes. The stars align. Johnny's hometown. He can film a little promo from his house if he wanted to, and set up a little piece of business. So
I don't know who, that's the thing. I'm trying to figure out where he could fit in, but yeah, I'd like to see what they could do with him and, let him show up there and, cut somebody down or, well, I guess it'd have to be Cody, right? Cody's the
true.
gatekeeper. I mean, all new guys
Exactly.
go through him. So let's talk up some Rampage and we'll do one more commercial break. And then I got one last just, fun topic to throw out there. So
All right.
Jon Moxley defeats Ethan Page. He looked really strong there. Probably a longer match I thought than needed to be, Greg. I mean, yes, it's
Absolutely.
Ethan Page. It ran, a commercial break, I believe, or the whole picture-in-picture thing. So Jon Moxley, though, still looked good. And then how about the little tease of Moxley, Bryan Danielson? I thought that was, that could be, that should be the gimmick. That should be a summer or not summer program, but maybe a lead into Double or Nothing or something like that. I know that's the end of May, but I think you could have them kind of convert, maybe parallel paths and then somehow number one contendership or something like that down the road, Greg. So I'm more excited to see Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, but good to see Jon Moxley back. Like you said, I think he has a GCW date coming up, or I know he had another thing scheduled. So he's definitely jumping in feet first, coming back from his, rehab time. So any thoughts on Jon Moxley and Ethan Page, Greg?
Yeah, it was a good match. Like I said, it was longer than I thought it should be, given the way he was wrestling before he went out to now. But it makes sense in the way that
he probably needed it.
Yeah, he needed the ring time. 3 months away, and you don't want to bury Ethan Page. He's still a guy on the come up, and showing that he can at least hang with Moxley is going to reflect well on him in his next rivalries. So I like that they didn't just kill him in 5 minutes. So
yeah, that's true. Trent Beretta defeated Nick Jackson. This was supposed to be Roppongi Vice. Unfortunately, Rocky Romero tested positive for COVID, Greg. So Romero's out for, a week or so, 5-10 days. And hopefully we'll get Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks, maybe in the next couple weeks. Interesting note there, how they said Nick Jackson and Trent Beretta have faced each other in some capacity, Greg, at least 50 times. But this is their first one-on-one ever meeting, which, kind of makes sense because they've probably always been in tag team matches or 3-man matches or 4-man or 5, probably Rumble, some sort of battle royale. So kind of cool to have, almost, just by happenstance, you have to have your first one-on-one match. But Trent Beretta looks good. The neck looks fine. Nick Jackson, Nick Jackson always shows up in these singles matches. If he ever gets a chance, kind of like the Hardy boys, I'm sure Nick and Matt could really go on a good run by themselves at some point. Any thoughts there, Greg, on Trent Beretta and Nick Jackson?
Yeah, I know on Dynamite they spent a lot of time exposing the whole Roppongi Vice versus Young Bucks angle to build up to this show. And I remember the first time that they did the whole Roppongi thing with the mom, Sue, coming out and playing the Roppongi song. Everybody's like, okay, well, mainstream fans like me who don't have no idea what it was, going, okay, what is this? And they did a great job of explaining it and, showing the clips in New Japan, Old Japan, whatever it was, all through the indies and, really super selling it leading up to this. And then Rocky gets COVID and you have a singles match. And so all that time was wasted pretty much. But at least we have a little background on the backstory now. So whenever it does happen, it'll still feel like a big deal. The match was great. I really enjoyed the match, and ended unexpectedly with Trent getting the win.
Yeah.
I think we figured somehow that the Bucks would end up on top, but Trent wins, and you're just further the the story, the rivalry, and it makes them look better, and sets up this match, eventual tag team match to be a main event. So
Yep.
I really liked it.
Everyone's favorite Hook defeated Serpentico. Greg, I guess I'm with you, I'm like you with Dante. I don't see it with Hook yet. I just don't see it. And we didn't even bring up Greg. Dante talked the other night, so congrats on him. He has a voice. I forgot to
Blew
bring
my
that
mind.
up. He speaks, but Hook, I don't really see it yet. Do you see it, Greg?
Oh, I definitely see it with Hook.
Okay.
And it's the less is more with Hook, in the sense that he just comes out and destroys, or like the Brock Lesnar t-shirt or a Stone Cold t-shirt, arrive, raise hell, leave, and he just comes out, destroys everybody, and walks back off. The look fits, the music fits, the presentation fits, and then the way he wrestles, so different and reminiscent of Taz. We're all down for it, and just having to do a series of squash matches is very Goldbergish during the WCW days. He just comes up and kills the jobbers and disappears again. And it was a while before Goldberg took up the stick and said anything meaningful.
And of course, he's still got his dad to fall back on if he needs some sort of talk, put him over. So
yeah, and so with Taz in the booth to do that, Hook all he has to do is show up and wrestle, and his matches have looked great so far. It hasn't been against any great competition or ever, but he's showcasing himself, and everything kind of fits as far as his colors, his looks, the crazy hair, the facials. People are down with it because it's so different.
He's going to be due for a hair versus hair match at some point in his life, won't he, Greg? When he's ready to cut it, he'll just they'll just throw out the hair versus hair match. So Jade Cargill defeated Anna Jay. I thought Anna Jay is one of her best showings to date. I like getting her that little spotlight, because I still feel like she could be one of those women. I think this next year will be kind of interested to see how it unfolds for her. You don't have the Dark Order kind of fall back on. You have Tay partnership, but this is Anna Jay's time to really go off and find, really get herself going. So, yeah, she took the loss, Greg, but her kind of getting that spot to shine, I think, is important. And you wonder if she'll kind of, pick up some small wins here and there, like Serena Deeb, like Chris Statlander. I mean, Statlander really didn't come in a lot of fanfare, and now look at her. So I kind of see Anna Jay, almost like a refresher year for her, and maybe a good run just leading up to maybe All Out in September-ish, maybe Double or Nothing. She gets a small kind of feud there, but then All Out, I'll really be interested to see where she is positioned then. So, and then Jade 25-0. Jade just keeps picking up the wins, and slowly showing that she's the real deal. And with a handful of matches, I mean, that's just crazy to think.
True, and I like the putting up the scoreboard behind her. Very Undertaker-ish with the new record after every win. So I think once we get close to a significant number like 50, then there'll be a huge match to see if she gets it. They've done it before with Sheeta's 50th. something like that. So doing the whole scoreboard in the back, I'm sure is leading to something. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. Anna Jay didn't look great in this match, and for a Jade match, this is probably the best match with Jade in it that I've seen.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably because of Anna Jay and her experience helping to, help her shine that much more. So they both look great in that main event slot.
And like we said, just a little good time for them to, work because I don't think Anna has much experience, but good to kind of get them both that rub in ways. So let's do one more commercial break. Then, like I said, I got a last call question for us, Greg. To kind of end the show, I think I've realized my producing skills have always just let us okay, we're done. And now I've started to realize that we can throw out something at the end. So we'll do this last commercial break, and then I got one last shot to throw us off for the night. And here is the last call, Greg. And I think now that I'm thinking out loud, I think we'll kind of rotate this. Maybe next week you can have a last call and you can give us a rank something or just throw out something there and we'll kind of go back and forth. Does that sound like a good? Then that way I'll put you on the spot and you can put me on the spot. But this picture's been floating around on Twitter. I threw it in our Superkickin with Steven fans Facebook group. By the way, go join that if you'd like to. And so I'm putting you on the spot right now, Greg. How would you rank the 4 horsewomen? And then I will give my ranking of the 4 horsewomen.
All right. So number 1, I got to do Charlotte. Okay. 2 is going to be Becky. And 3, I'm going to put Bayley. And Sasha in 4.
Well, this sucks because that's my exact ranking. What a good last call. I kind of debated with Sasha and Bayley because some days Sasha shows me, her match work, Greg, can really, she just shows how well she moves in the ring. I keep, that forbidden door, give me her and Thunder Rosa. Just give that to me. One time, I don't care where it's at. It could be in the bingo hall. With 10 people watching, but and then Bayley, I just love Bayley so much. She sometimes rises above Becky for me, but I think your ranking, I think I do about the same. I do Charlotte. Well, I do exactly the same. Sorry, I do Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, and Sasha. Bayley and Sasha are on that 3A. I feel like it's hard to. I think I like Bayley's promo work above Sasha. Sometimes Sasha, when she's a heel, it's best. And obviously in NXT, Greg, Sasha was heads above everybody. Right. I mean, it is funny to think how far that's come. But there's no doubt Charlotte's probably worlds above everybody. I mean, just to think where Charlotte started, coming into NXT with no experience and having to live in that shadow of Ric Flair and David Flair, and Reed Flair, all these, essentially doing it for her brother at first and then realizing, oh God, I can actually do this. That's saying something. So, yeah. And then, Becky, I think Becky was always the odd woman out because you had Bayley and Sasha put on the 2 strong matches. Some people said the Iron Woman match was better than their Brooklyn Takeover match. So it's you've always had Becky, strutting out there as an Irish dancer. Speaking of overcoming things, I mean, she had to overcome a lot with that. So Becky was always that odd woman out. And then, Bayley was too, because Bayley didn't get the call up at first. So, but no doubt, Greg, these 4 women, I mean, just really, it's just so amazing to see like what they're at, where they're at now, and where they were. I mean, there's no doubt I don't think we'll have another set of women like this. And, especially with NXT, the way it kind of is now. But that was my last call. Like I said, kind of end the show on a fun note. And we'll let Greg throw us out next week with, we'll have to talk about when we'll be going to be live, because next week I'm not available on Saturday till later in the day. And I didn't want to do it too close to Rumble. So we will give all the details. I think we're shooting for Wednesday night, Greg. Is that where we're shooting for?
Yeah, we could do Wednesday or Thursday, whichever works easier.
Okay, you could do Thursday too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I'll check with Brittany. I think she was available Wednesday. I think that's why we're shooting for Wednesday. But we'll just do a Rumble prediction. And if we want to do a last call, then we can do that too. So you can have it ready in the wings, Greg, if we want to do it. If we want to just do a Rumble prediction, we could just stick to the Rumble. So, or we could always tie in those 2 things if you get my drift. So,
absolutely. But
we will talk to you guys live next week. It is Rumble, baby. I love the Royal Rumble so much. I wish I was going. It's in St. Louis, Greg. I was really trying to figure out a way to get there, but not going to happen, unfortunately. So maybe they'll have it again and I can make it work, especially with being on a Saturday. So, but can't wait to talk it up next week. See who is moving on to the main event of WrestleMania for the, as Pat McAfee put it, most stupendous, extravagant, elegant, greatest, best. He had his dictionary out there. I love when he was just throwing it down at Michael Cole, because I love when McAfee, Greg, tries to break Cole, because it's
absolutely
coming. And it's it happens, and it's just awesome. So, anything, Greg, you want to leave us with as we head off here?
A lot of great stuff I saw. I saw a thing with Raquel Gonzalez may be getting called up real soon. So I think we'll see her in the Rumble match.
Yeah.
And then you saw me posted on your Superkickin' It page. The Wyndham promos are up and they're running on a regular pace. I caught one and noticed
real,
that it's. That's the question. That's the question. They've been really interesting.
Okay.
So under It Begins Again on YouTube, really entertaining promos, but they add a lot of questions to the mix. So interested to see how that goes. But looking forward to finding more cool stuff to bring to the table.
Awesome. All right. Well, enjoy this next week of wrestling. Like we said, we got Beach Break happening. We got the Rumble happening. We got Raw invading SmackDown, SmackDown invading Raw. You got NXT still rolling around with Gunther at the helm. Anyways.
Had to end with that, didn't you?
Had to end with that. No. Go watch Tubi. I did catch something on Tubi.
Go to Lucha Underground.
And I've been watching, I haven't finished it, but it's called Pick It Up, the Story of Ska. So I've been catching that. I've been wanting to see that for a while, Greg, and now it's finally available for free on Tubi. So I've been catching that. I got to catch the rest of it today. So
nice.
Enjoy the talk. Go Pacers. Go Suns tonight. We just won a good game. I'm sure the Suns will kill my boys, but it might be fun to watch them kill them. So have a great
watch
day.
Brightburn.
Brightburn, yes, watch that. I got to mark that on my list of things to watch. So, all right, have a good one.